Let me start with a simple question. If we lined up everyone you know by their financial situation, friends, coworkers, people your age, where do you honestly think you would land? Near the top, somewhere in the middle, or quietly closer to the bottom? Most people don't actually know, and that uncertainty is exactly what creates so much anxiety around money. You check your bank account, you pay your bills, you're not completely broke, but somehow it still feels like you're behind, like everyone else has it figured out, like you missed an important memo. And that feeling doesn't come from numbers, it comes from comparison. Social media shows vacations, new cars, fancy dinners, and success stories. What it doesn't show are the credit card balances, the financial stress, or the empty retirement accounts behind the scenes. So, today, instead of guessing, let's talk about reality. Not opinions, not motivation quotes, real financial benchmarks. Because once you understand what average actually looks like, something interesting happens. You stop panicking, and you start making better decisions. Let's begin with income, because that's where most people start comparing themselves. According to labor statistics, the median full-time worker earns a little over $50,000 per year before taxes. That means half of workers earn more than that, and half earn less. It's not poor, but it's not rich either. It's the middle. Now factor in taxes, healthcare, and deductions. For many people, that number quickly turns into $35,000 to $40,000 take home. Suddenly, that decent salary doesn't feel so comfortable anymore. But income alone doesn't determine how wealthy you feel. What matters more is how expensive your life is. The average household spends over $5,000 per month. Housing takes the biggest bite, then transportation, food, insurance, healthcare, subscriptions, and small recurring charges that don't feel dangerous individually, but together create constant pressure. That's why so many people feel broke even when their income goes up. The cost of normal life rises faster than awareness. You don't need to be bad with money to feel squeezed. You just need to live in a system where normal is expensive. Now let's talk about savings, or more accurately, the lack of them. Many people assume the average person has a safety net, a few months of expenses saved, a cushion for emergencies. But that assumption is wrong. A large number of people have little to no emergency savings at all. One unexpected bill, a car repair, a medical expense, a job disruption, is enough to cause real stress. And when savings are low, people turn to credit. This is where debt enters the picture. Credit cards are one of the biggest silent killers of financial progress. Many households carry thousands of dollars in credit card debt at interest rates above 20%. That means people aren't just paying for what they bought. They're paying for it again and again in interest. And most of that debt didn't come from emergencies. It came from everyday spending, convenience, impulse purchases that felt harmless in the moment. Debt doesn't make you irresponsible, it makes you stuck. Now let's zoom out and talk about retirement, because this is where the gap between expectations and reality becomes uncomfortable. People want freedom. They want options. They want to stop working someday without fear. But retirement doesn't run on hope. It runs on math. A large number of people reach their 30s, 40s, and even 50s with shockingly low retirement savings. Some have nothing at all. Others have amounts that sound large until you calculate how long that money needs to last. If you start early, time does most of the work. If you start late, you pay a penalty to your future self. Some people assume Social Security will cover the gap, but Social Security was never designed to fully fund a comfortable retirement. It was designed to supplement income. If your entire retirement plan is hope, that's not a plan. That's a gamble. Now let's talk about a number people love to compare but rarely understand. Net worth. Net worth is what you own minus what you owe. On paper, the average net worth might look impressive, but that doesn't mean people feel secure. You can have assets and still live paycheck to paycheck. Assets don't always equal cash flow, and cash flow is what determines stress. This is where many people get it wrong. They compare outcomes instead of systems. They compare cars, houses, and vacations instead of savings rates, debt levels, and habits. So how do you actually do better than average? The answer is boring, and that's why it works. You don't need to be exceptional. You just need to be slightly more intentional than most people. Spend a bit less than you earn. Save a bit more than average. Avoid high-interest debt. Invest consistently over time. That's it. If the average person saves around 5 or 6%, saving 10 or 15% already puts you ahead. If the average person carries credit card debt, avoiding it gives you an advantage. If the average person reacts emotionally to money, building simple systems gives you control. Wealth, for most people, is not built in one big moment. It's built through small decisions repeated consistently over years. So instead of asking, "Am I doing better than everyone else?" ask yourself a better question. Am I doing better than I was last year? Because progress beats comparison every time. The financial habits of the average person don't lead to freedom. They lead to stress and dependence. But once you see the numbers clearly, you realize how low the bar actually is to do better. You don't need perfection. You don't need luck. You need awareness and consistency. These numbers aren't here to scare you. They're here to show you what not to copy. Use them as a reference point, not a destination. Because where the average person ends up does not have to be where you end up. And if you want more videos that break down money, behavior, and real financial life without hype or nonsense, subscribe to the channel. New videos every week. And before you go, ask yourself one thing. What part of your finances are you ready to be more intentional about starting today?